I'm Realtor Deb Tomorrow, and this is At Home in Bloomington, brought to you by Karen Rastel, Ruoff Home Mortgage. We profile the people, places, and resources that make Bloomington, Bloomington, and help you live your best life. At Home in Bloomington.
Hello and welcome to At Home in Bloomington. I'm your host, Realtor Deb Tomorrow, joined as always by the lovely Miss Karen Rastel, best damn lender in the state of Indiana. Hello,
hey,
Karen.
Hello.
Are you on a sugar high right now?
I am. I'm on a Starbucks
Sweet.
high. Yes, and carrot cake.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we had this
Because
morning.
you just came from a baby shower.
Yes, I just came from a baby shower, and shout out to Two Sticks Bakery, best damn carrot cake ever.
Somebody suggested we should have them on as a podcast.
Well, we should.
So we might need to reach out to them.
And have them bring some
She actually bought one of my listings, the owner of Two Sticks.
Really?
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I have a connection.
But yeah,
anyway,
I'm going to try to keep it down.
That is not who we have today, but we are certainly...
Someone much more disappointing.
Right, exactly. No. But I think this show might be a little bit of a challenge for Karen and I. I have to admit.
You're throwing yourself into that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
Because we're about the same age.
Yes.
I might be a little bit older.
Barely.
Do you remember last week when I was talking to you I was telling you I was speaking with a potential podcast guest, and she just said flat out to me, I don't really know what a podcast is.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I can explain that. And it took me off guard, and I don't think I did a really good job explaining it.
You should have done it like it's a fireside chat.
Okay.
Would that have made more sense?
I would, no. It makes me think of Franklin Roosevelt.
Right. You're just listening to...
She wasn't that old.
Okay, well then, all right.
Anyways, and so, I was kind of like, well, it's like radio, but you can listen to it anytime you want. And I showed her my phone and where you could. So as someone who has about 150 episodes out there on iTunes between my two podcasts, you'd think I would be able to answer that pretty quickly, but I can't. Because the fact of the matter is that you and I were a little old.
Yeah, we got to Urban Dictionary that stuff.
We do. We're always like, what does that mean? So while I love making podcasts and I love talking with the guests, I have to admit, I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. And I don't know if you do.
No.
And so sometimes when I'm cooking dinner, or definitely if I'm traveling, I download a bunch. Like I'm sitting on a plane, I'll listen to them. If I road trip, that's a good time to listen to them.
Yeah.
But I walk around the grocery store and I see people with earbuds in and I know they're listening to podcasts. And I think, they're probably listening to yours, right? Yeah. Probably not. But they're just going through their daily life and they're always listening to podcasts, which I think is really cool. According to one source I found, there's over 2 million podcasts out there.
That would not surprise me.
And I think that's insane. And one of the things I struggle with, and I was struggling to explain to this lady that I was speaking with, is how you find a podcast. Like, well, just put in a topic that you're interested in and see what comes up. You put in Deb Tomorrow and, you get inundated, but a lot of people don't know my name, so they don't think to put in Deb Tomorrow. I'm working on that. But the breadth of topics that are out there can be overwhelming sometimes. And that's why I only watch 2 TV channels, like Discovery and
TLC.
Food Network.
No, you're right.
Well, what's 90 Day
Fiancé? That's what I was going to say. I think it's TLC.
Okay, so 3 networks.
But right.
Not HGTV, because I live that. So, because I just struggle with there's too many choices. I don't want that. So how do you find podcasts that you really enjoy? Have you ever...
The only podcast outside of your world famous podcast is when Pat McAfee was doing his with the previous...
When he was with Barstool?
Yeah.
But his new one's good. We've been listening to it over the weekend.
I haven't listened to his new one.
And it's on YouTube,
that was
too.
My first
so you
one.
can watch him.
But are you asking me how I found it?
Well, in general, if you want to listen to a podcast...
What do I do?
Do you just search?
Putting me on the spot. I would, but I first hear about podcasts when people are tweeting about it or putting it out on social media.
Right. So
and I'm like, I have to stay up to date with these kids.
Right. So a lot of people find out about podcasts word of mouth.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you were saying, whether that's digital word of mouth or face-to-face word of mouth. So I think everyone who shares, I think of everyone who shares my podcast and they'll tell their friends about it, and that's awesome. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. So we're actually going to be sharing another local podcast.
Awesome.
And we hope people will tell each other about it and also tell each other how to listen to podcasts. If you don't know, because if you're listening to this, you know how to listen to a podcast.
Exactly.
But you need to go find one other person and show them how to listen to podcasts.
We can find someone
because there's people out there who don't know how to listen to podcasts. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Drum roll.
So, want to welcome our guests, David Allen and Brian Johnson. and they are with a local podcast. It's local, but it's not local. It's not just about local stuff, but it's local. This is where it gets confusing, and you and I are going to be challenged. It's called Flashback to Never, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Well, welcome. So tell us, what's your elevator speech if someone says, what's your podcast about?
So Flashback to Never is a scripted alternate history podcast told through 1962 pop radio.
Okay, alternate history.
Yes.
This is where
we break it down like it's a grammar.
Yeah, we put a lot of hats on a hat.
Because I'll tell you, here's what happened. Your engineer that engineers the show is my engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I even am responsible for that. I think I gave you his name on that. Yeah. So I take some credit for the success of the show. But anyways, and I remember
royalties.
Yeah, there you go. And one day I went to Wes. I was at a Chamber of Commerce event, and I went up to Wes. I go, okay, explain this Flashback to Never to me. Because I think there's an interesting concept there. And I think I would like to have them on the show.
but I don't know what it is.
Don't quite understand it. And so he sort of explained it, but I want to hear how you explain it.
We make the show and we don't quite understand it.
So basically, the show started with the simple question, what would music sound like if Elvis had never existed? And it grew from there. It grew from just music to political and world events changing. So tuning into an episode of Flashback is like turning on the radio in 1962. There's DJs, news, commercials, but everything is a little different. And throughout the season, we find out how things are different and how it affects things going forward beyond.
And so how many episodes have you done?
I believe we are at 18 episodes.
18.
Season one just wrapped, right?
Yes.
And I would also mention that, like turning on the radio in 1962, there is music in the style of the early 60s, but all of it was written by David and myself.
Yes. Done in early 60s and late 50s style rockabilly, soul, girl group.
Okay, so hold on a second.
It's the coolest concept.
I know, but it's like it's a show within a show within a show. So
yeah, kind of.
You guys write your own music.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm assuming, play, are there instruments?
Yeah.
There are
Well, I'm just saying, like...
We just hand out sheet music.
Play it in your head.
You kind of mouth this part.
And then you also write the scripts.
We write the scripts,
Yes.
yeah.
And this is your side gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I know, like we were talking before the show, we know Brian, so I know you have a
day job.
day job, right.
For sure. So does
okay.
Yeah.
And David's a firefighter.
Yeah, so, okay.
At
I
this
just want to
point,
make sure I was
Flashback is the main job because it takes up the majority of the working hours in the week, I think. Certainly.
Yeah, but we just don't get paid.
But we don't get paid for it, yeah.
So, I think, Karen, what's important to realize is that what we do here with our podcast is like so much easier and simpler than what they're doing with as much of the recording. And I mean, it's just really, really involved. They have to write scripts and then they have to find actors and they have to record that.
And musicians. And,
So I'm sure you're going to get back to
ask whatever question you want.
What made you guys decide, let's do this?
We're insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So originally, Brian and I were talking about Elvis, and every artist that came after Elvis was either directly or indirectly influenced by him.
Yeah.
And we were talking with our friend Tom, who's a historian, and he said, it goes further than that. Elvis brought African-American music to the forefront.
Yep.
Therefore, he had a lot to do with civil rights. He had a lot to do with everything that came after that. Mm-hmm. And so we started crafting this world where everything was different because of one person. And it originally was going to be a very small production. We were going to record a bunch of garage rock songs in my garage. We were going to play everything ourselves.
It was going to be a garage rock show. It was like the show you were listening to was a show about garage rock. Mm-hmm. But then we said,
blew it way out of proportion.
Everything always starts in a garage, or the thought is
that is true,
right?
Every single one of our guests started. Oliver Winery started in a garage. Dillman Farm started in a garage. Yeah.
Apple Computer started in a garage. And we'd like to think we're just as important
as Apple Computers.
Yeah. You are.
I need to get out to the garage.
I do too.
There's just a good atmosphere to
That's what we're going to do our next brainstorming. We're going to sit in a garage and just...
I only have a pole barn and it's not
No.
weather tight.
Pole barn. No. Yeah, that's no good. I do remember the day the very first day we started talking about it, I got a text message from David and said, "Do you want to come over for lunch today?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I don't think we'd actually seen each other for a couple of weeks because you bought a house and I bought a house, and neither one of us we were both busy living our lives. And he said, "Do you want to come over for lunch?" And I said, "Sure. What's up?" And he said, "Excuse me, I'm getting over this cold, but." He said, "I have an idea that's either ambitiously stupid or stupidly ambitious." And I responded, "You're talking my language." Right. if I had known what it was going to grow into, I probably would have said no.
Yeah, we're still not sure which it is.
But you made it through one season, so that's good. I want to play. I've got
one season.
This is going to challenge my technical abilities, but I have some snippets.
Okay.
Because I thought, well, this is audio, so we need to play it. So I think that this is the very first. Part of the very first episode.
Yes.
So this is like the very first thing you hear. And you really kind of do need to listen to them in order.
Yeah, there's an episodic story that goes through.
So, so this is episode 1.
Yeah,
okay, so
sure.
this is episode 1, kind of how it all starts.
Hey kids, it's 3 o'clock. Hope you're home and ready to rock because your old pal Lucky Bucky has got some hot wax and some smoking tracks. No need to pout because school is out and lordy, here comes the new Top 40.
So that kind of is the DJ at the Flashback to Never WFT2N.
WF2N.
In our alternate world, radio stations have numbers in their call sign because all the... in the real world, all of the call signs have been taken out.
So when you sat down to start working on the show, did you come up with the story arc for the entire season?
We had a loose outline. We knew where we wanted things to go. We kind of knew how this season was going to end. Mm-hmm. Brian and I then kind of wrote the scripts to fill in all the pieces, and the characters grew from there.
Yeah.
The story grew as we wrote each episode. The characters...
And there were certain points we knew we wanted to hit. We really wanted to talk about like social issues of the era. Particularly in the first season, we talk a lot about like the inherent sexism of the early 60s. And we kind of, if we succeeded, we like to think we kind of showed how things have changed and how things haven't changed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So is one season, is it just like one calendar year, or how is the time progression?
So to take it a step further, I don't want to blow your mind.
Already blown.
So half of the episodes take place over our alternate 1962, the DJ episodes, and then half of the episodes are retrospectives where Brian and I look back at artists of that era, and these are artists that we've created. And so we tell more of their story past 1962, how the music industry affected them or how they affected the music industry. So,
and again, not real artists. So you're just sort of saying, and that may be one of the other promos that you gave me. There was one, do you remember promo 3?
Yes.
Is that like a retrospective?
Yes.
Okay, let me play that one then so that people can kind of get some... a sense in the
I didn't do it. Cops hounded me for months and months, and they cleared my name. God, it never ends.
What about if I did it?
What about it? I didn't kill BB, so that song is just my way of pleading my case to the public.
What innocent person would write a song called If I Did It? Who is so stupid to think that's a good idea?
My manager at the time...
so that obviously is about O.J. Simpson.
I don't know.
Even I can figure that one out.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's musician Guy Robinson.
Yeah,
who wrote a song called If I Did It.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the episodes where you're kind of reflecting back on his career.
Yeah.
And it also sounds a little bit like Justin Bieber, like that kind of vibe of like bad boy, like defensive, like I didn't, I'm just doing what I'm told and, and whatever. So,
well, you find that a lot in any kind of entertainer, I feel like, where, like John Mulaney has a bit about working with Mick Jagger, and he's just like, people ask him, is he a nice person? It's like, no, but maybe he is in Mick Jagger world. If you have the lifestyle where you can just ask for anything in the world and get it,
right?
It kind of, it makes you develop an attitude that a lot of people kind of can't relate to.
Right. It's, my mind is blown. I just like
we'll help work it through.
No, and I was saying we're going to be right back. We're going to go stop and listen to all 18 episodes, and then we'll continue.
The artists are as much characters as the DJs in the show.
So, how many characters are you dealing with through the course of the season?
I believe there's 3 main DJs.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's smaller characters that are on the radio programs, and I think there's about 25 artists. We do 8 retrospectives. And most of those are about one artist. We do one that's on One Hit Wonders. So there's several smaller artists.
Okay.
And then some artists directly influence other artists. Like, for instance, Guy Robinson is talking about one of our other artists, BB Alvin.
Okay.
And a lot of those stories were taken from real life. Like, we didn't make up a lot of that stuff. We just
changed the names to
protect.
The innocent animals.
And also just to, kind of tailor it to the kind of story we were telling as well. But
and the other thing that I don't know that we've hit on necessarily is that this show, the DJs and everything, it does take place in Bloomington.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh,
which is really cool too. And that's why I said it's local, but it's not local. You can certainly listen anywhere, but it's like that Jeff Foxworthy show years and years ago that took place in Bloomington. It's
really?
that. Yeah. Huh. He had a show and it actually took place in Bloomington, Indiana. And so some
of the places
they go to Bloomington High School because you didn't have North and South at the time, right? So I know in the first episode that there's a dance or something that they were going to go, and there's a popular band playing. All the bands have one-word names, which crack me up, the waitresses. Or and so, and what other Bloomington connections do you pull in?
There's a lot of the history that comes into play.
The building of Lake Monroe is mentioned.
Lake Griffey, Lake Lemon, different
Marsh comes up quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of the commercials are based off of real.
Yeah.
The Schmaltz department store. Was a real place.
Yeah.
So a lot of Bloomington history is in the show, just kind of, again, twisted to tell the story we want.
Yeah. David and I spent a good evening at the Monroe County Museum, kind of taking notes and looking around, and as well as doing other research.
Yeah, cool.
Because neither one of us are from here.
Yeah. Right. But once you're here, you're always from here.
Yeah.
All right, we have to take a break and digest. And try
and maybe get some of that blueberry Moscato.
And then we'll get some of that blueberry Moscato that's in the fridge, right? And then we're going to come back and I want to talk a little bit more about the social issues and what you talk about. And I also want to talk about if people maybe want to get involved. Yeah. There may be some opportunities too. So lots more to come. So stick around. You are at home in Bloomington.
Hi, this is Karen Rastel with Ruoff Home Mortgage. Did you know one of the most underutilized loan programs is a Veterans Administration loan? Whether you're active duty or retired, you may be eligible for a VA loan with no mortgage insurance and no down payment. It's an honor to assist veterans who have served our country. To see if you qualify for this incredible option, contact me today at 812-606-7653. Ruoff Home Mortgage is an Indiana corporation licensed by the Indiana Department of Financial Institutions. This is not an offer for extension of credit or a commitment to lend. All loans must satisfy company underwriting guidelines, equal housing lender, NMLS number 141868.
This is your Real Estate Realist. Practical advice on buying and selling real estate based on my experience closing over 800 home sales. Our Real Estate Today podcast did a 3-part series about alternative housing options, from tiny houses to co-housing. We also talked about homesteading, which is such a hot topic these days. We learned some great pointers and ideas, so here's a sampling. Number 1, the idea of homesteading goes all the way back to the Homestead Act of 1862, which was designed to encourage putting land in the hands of individuals instead of corporations. You can see the common thread today with the idea that homesteading is about moving away from corporate production of food and other necessities. Number 2, homesteading is a mindset and is possible where you are, wherever you are. Even if you don't own land, even going to the farmer's market, buying green beans from a local farmer, and then freezing or canning them to use throughout the year in your tiny apartment kitchen is a form of homesteading. Start where you are in the ways that you can. And number 3, remember, homesteading isn't always about individual self-sustaining. Think of it in a broader sense. Homesteading is helping communities become more self-sustaining. Partnering and sharing resources is an important part of many homesteads.
barter eggs for tomatoes, the farm animal pet sitting for help clearing land. The idea of homestead isn't an isolating one, but a uniting one. Interested in homesteading? You can find out more on Real Real Estate Today, podcast number 88. You can find it on iTunes, my YouTube channel, or at www.athomeinbloomington.com.
My name is Joe Reinhardt, and Deb Tomorrow is my realtor. Deb helped us to sell a property that we had previously listed, for which we were unable to even generate an offer. Deb's responsiveness, professionalism, and her aggressive marketing strategy led to multiple full-price offers for our listing. And that's why I think Deb should be your realtor too. And now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to At Home in Bloomington. Hope you're enjoying today's show. We're having fun, and we probably should have recorded that break once again.
Probably.
But maybe not, because
we went some places.
Yeah, there's some things that we probably shouldn't talk about. So before we get back to David and Brian and our discussion about their podcast, Flashback to Never, I do want to throw back to episode 31, which was Jill's house. Do you remember that?
I do.
So sweet. Jill's house is a unique living situation for people with memory issues, and then there's also a daycare there so they can interact with the kids. And I know you guys are wondering where I'm going with this.
I already know where you're going with this.
I'm going to connect it, because that's what I do.
We have aging relatives. We know
right? There you go, right? I'm suggesting maybe you need to go somewhere. And on that episode, one of the things we talked about were some of the music programs that they're doing over there. And there was an IU professor with it. I wish I remember her name, but I don't. But there's some YouTube videos on the Jill's House website that shows this amazing change for people that have memory issues, and then they listen to music that was popular when they were younger, and the fog lifts. And it made me think of this show, and sort of, even though some of these songs, none of these songs were actually around in the early 60s, it gives that vibe, and
it's a flashback for those.
Yeah, it's a flashback.
That is why we created the show. We wanted to help people with memory issues out in the elder community.
Go, right?
By tricking them.
By tricking them. Doing good things. So anyways, check out that episode 31 of Jill's house, and they're doing some really, really cool things there, and think about that in context with Flashback to Never. So again, give me the 20-second elevator speech on what, if someone's sort of just tuning in or is still a little bit confused, what is Flashback to Never?
Podcast in the middle.
I don't know. Somebody who doesn't have a lot of time.
Yeah, they're like, the middle is usually where the good stuff is.
No, this is why I designed my podcast so that it's the perfect length. It's a perfect length for a workout, right? It's about 35, 40 minutes, so it's a good workout. It's not an hour. It's not too long. However, if you want to cheat your workout, you start in the middle.
All right.
Or if you want to,
and if you're playing it out loud, then somebody walks into a room, which happens in my house.
Or if you want to throw, that just throws me off. That's like reading a series of books in random orders. Yeah. That's wrong.
Okay. Regardless, answer my question.
What was the question?
20 seconds.
Elevator.
The elevator pitch.
So it is a scripted podcast. It is an alternate history podcast told through 1962 pop radio. Yep. Featuring original music and local musicians. And
takes place in Bloomington, which is really cool. Yes. Okay, so I want to talk about several things that are within that. So first, let's talk about the talent how many people are involved in putting this thing together, because it's like Karen and I just sitting here talking.
Too many and not enough.
Much.
Yes. Yeah. So, musician-wise, we've worked with more than 70 musicians. Yeah. The vast majority in town. We've had some people, we work with a lady who lives in New Jersey. For season 2, we've got people kind of all over the country. But,
she was one of Springsteen's backup singers, which is super exciting for David and I bonded originally over Springsteen. That's actually how we got going.
Gotcha.
So the Bloomingtonians that live here and have lived here for a long time and are musicians, and then we get a ton of great talent from IU as well.
Yeah.
And same thing with the actors. We worked with 59 different actors for the show. Some are theater students, some are community members who have been in a ton of shows, and some are poor souls that have been pulled in because
I was going to say, like, regular people.
Yeah, our wives have done voices because we're like, we don't
begrudgingly
come do this commercial.
Yeah. Right. So,
but they knocked it out of the park, both of them.
That's
actually,
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities. I know I saw something just a few weeks ago on Facebook where you were doing some auditions.
We just had auditions for season 2,
and announced the cast. As well.
We have solidified the cast.
But we still
always need people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of smaller characters, commercials, things like that, and we always want people that are interested in voice acting or are actors or think it might be fun. We do not require any vast amount of talent. Otherwise, Brian and I wouldn't be doing this in the first place.
And so how can people get a hold of you if they're interested in doing that?
Flashback to Never on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, our website, Flashback to Never. You can use the number 2 or TO.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, both. Cool.
So Google it. And
I'm not involved in the technical.
But yeah, you can find us on all the social medias.
And I think Flashback to Never at Gmail is a working email address.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Any of the
awesome. So just
both 2 and TO.
Wonderful.
Gotcha.
Now, where do you record?
So the voice acting we record at the Mill.
Okay.
They have a great studio there that's set up really nicely, and it's a nice central location for people. Brian and I live out in the sticks, and we don't want people coming back to record in like the woods where it's creepy.
Yeah.
So we do all the voice acting at the Mill. The music is recorded at Primary Sound Studios. Shout out to Jake Belzer.
Yeah, who's our hero and savior, honestly.
Yeah. He owns the studio, does our engineering, and we've done 7 sessions with a band with different musicians each time, and then we have people coming in all the time doing overdubs, string sections, horn parts, and 90% of that is done at Primary Sound.
Okay. And then you send all these pieces and parts that have been recorded to our other hero, Wes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Wes Lasher is the production house who does this show as well.
Who does amazing stuff. We'll give him ideas, and then what he sends back, because there's like sound effects that we're like, there should be crowds here and cheering, and he comes back with like way better than we could have imagined every time. It's
our favorite one. Make it sound like somebody's rubbing their butt on a window. and he did, and he knocked it out of the park.
I just heard that in my head. I just heard what that sound would be.
Yeah.
And as also his landlord, hopefully that was not a real sound effect that
however
he was doing.
Wes captures it is his business. We don't want to know how the sausage
get over to my house and with some Windex. Awesome. So in addition to the live or the music, I'm blown away by, just doing the show and doing sort of the scripted radio part. That's a lot of work. But then you've got this, you're writing music, you're recording it. And then on top of that, you're going around town and you're doing live shows as well.
Yes. So we have
we don't like to sit still.
Yeah.
Right?
Ambitious. So we have a live band.
Yeah.
Many of whom have played on the recordings, and then a few are musicians that we've just come in contact with. So we play the music live, and sometimes we do live episodes. So Brian and I will play DJ characters between these songs, and we'll have news breaks and commercial breaks, and then play the songs live.
Fun.
And the live shows... Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, where are you doing these live shows?
We played Midway Music Fest. We played IU First Thursday. We played at the Bloomington Music Expo.
Yeah.
We'll be playing there again this coming February.
Probably be at Grand Falloon this year since we were rained out of Grand Falloon last year.
Yeah.
So all of your social, like your appearances, you have that like on all of the social media sites. So like if we wanted to see where you guys may be next. Okay.
Yeah, we sign up for our mailing list.
Yeah.
Instagram. I love Instagram. I'm a total 17-year-old girl. Look at this filter. So we post a ton on there when we're recording the musicians we work with, and then upcoming shows. Yeah.
Because the other thing we want to do is give a big shout out to all the talent we do work with because they're incredible. I mean, seriously, we want to hook people up with gigs as often as we can because we've worked with so many talented people, way more talented than us.
That are just sort of helping and doing it for the passion, like you guys are doing it for the passion.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing it because they love the music or the show. We do pay musicians and voice actors if they're professionals, and we have worked with a ton of amazingly talented professionals, both voice and musicians.
I have a song here I want to play just maybe 20 seconds of. It's called Going Broke. Is there anything that you can tell us before the song about it?
Yeah, we'll start by saying I sing this one, so this is not one of the professionals. So this band is the Addicts. They're a local Bloomington group, a garage rock group, kind of your typical high school 4 guys that have instruments but can barely play them.
They're a Bloomington band in this alternate Bloomington.
Yeah. Yes, we have created the
clarifying
Addicts.
That.
We have created them, and we wrote songs in a garage rock style, knowing that the Addicts would play them. And there's a retrospective about the history of all 4 boys in the band and what became of them.
And the Addicts are very popular in this alternate. Is that right? They were the ones that the high school girls were all excited about.
Yeah. They're kind of the One Direction of alternate 1962.
We have
it's nice to be the writer for the show, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I am Harry Styles.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because that is one of the things where we have to write the scripts, and so we have to have people say wow, I really like this song, or oh, that song's terrible, and we wrote it all, so we're well,
they're all fabulous.
It depends on how we kind of feel about our own work, depending on if people in the show like it or not.
Right. All right, let's listen to a few seconds of this.
I got a job because my daddy said to grow up and be a man, that's what I must do. I get my pay every 14 days and then I turn right around and I blow it away.
I cut it off before the chorus.
I know, but I didn't because I want
tease.
Exactly. I am teasing. I want you to go to flashbacktonever.com. All the regular podcast sites, right? iTunes.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts.
If someone, I know, people always say, well, where can I listen to it? I'm like, well,
a lot of the recorded songs are also available on iTunes, Flashback to Never the Band, so you can hear and or purchase Going Broke and many other great songs.
I think we're on SoundCloud. We got a lot on SoundCloud. Yeah.
Phew, that is a full-time job.
It is.
Yeah.
But you have full-time jobs.
I started, before Flashback, I had 8 weeks of vacation saved up. And I have burned through a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
Where I just I'm not going to be in tomorrow. I got to go in the studio.
Oh, my gosh. So let's talk just a little bit more about this idea of the social issues, because that was not something that I think I had thought of, and David brought it up when we were discussing kind of what we were going to talk about on the show today, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So talk to me a little bit about this thread of social issues and how it's part of the alternate world in 1962, but how it's connected with today's world.
Well, when we started coming up with the concept for the show and looking back, you kind of have that rose-colored nostalgia feel about, the 60s was such a great time, and there's all this great music
early
that
60s,
came out of it.
right?
The early 60s.
Before Vietnam.
And, Brian and I were listening to a lot of songs from that time, stuff that we grew up listening to. It's how we learned how to play music. And when we started looking at the lyrics, all of this stuff jumped out at us that, these songs really wouldn't fly today if they were new songs.
Yeah.
If they weren't burned into our conscience, our conscious. So when we started writing lyrics, we were... was it just a tiny mouse with a
and walking down the...
but a lot of our songs kind of call out songs from that time where it's a group of females singing a song about how they couldn't live without their man and they would do anything for him and he can kind of do whatever he wants because he's a man. And so a lot of what we were trying to do was take away the rose-colored glasses and say things weren't as peachy keen as we thought.
So how do you do that? Are the songs still of that ilk and then people sort of comment on it, or do you switch it up?
There's a little bit of that. That's also what we use the retrospectives to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the character of Brian and David look back at these artists, we listen to the songs and say, well, 1962 was a different time. There's a real song called He Hit Me and It Felt Like a Kiss.
Yeah.
That's about a woman basically saying, well, he loves me so much he can't help but get jealous and hit
That's
me.
a real...
That's
not
a real
alternate.
song.
That's
a real
disturbing.
song from 1962.
Oh, we uncovered a lot. I mean, there are songs that... the best example I can give you is the Beatles song "Run for Your Life" off of Rubber Soul. Go back and listen to it. the line is, I'd rather see a dead little girl than to be with another man.
Yeah.
So you better run for your life, hide your head in the sand. If I catch you with another man, that's the end, little girl. It's a poppy Beatles song.
Right.
People dance to it or whatever. But but it's not cool.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But there's others out there. I had somebody come up to me one day and she's like, I have a question. I was like, yeah. And she's like, the songs on your show are awful. Like, not like they don't sound bad, but like the subject matter is really questionable. I said, yeah, no, that's the point. And they're not all like that. Some of them are really straightforward, just pop songs. But, some of them, because we took songs that existed and actually, believe it or not, had to clean them up quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's one, the one I can't get over, it's called Bloodshot Eyes.
There's a lot of like blues songs and there's just some songs that you would hear and say, oh, that was from 1943, that there's no way, like, these songs wouldn't be on the radio today.
Yeah.
They're just
crazy. Horrible stuff.
Interesting.
I can't remember the name of the song now. I'm going to have to find it. There's a real song. A guy sings about how his wife's been messing around on him, so he's going to kill her. Then, in real life, he killed her. Then...
He wrote a song about it?
No, he wrote it before he did it.
Right,
he announced what he was going to do, did it, and then killed the cop who had come to investigate the murder.
Oh, my God.
And the fact that I can't remember that guy's name is kind of killing me right now. But, the songs are out there. And, again, like that Beatles song or any number of songs from the 50s and 60s, particularly the ones where... the very first concept of the show came years ago because we would be in the car listening to the radio and there'd be some schmaltzy love song on. And I turned to David and went, it doesn't really sound like he loves her. It sounds like he's got her tied up in his basement. Yeah. Like, that's what it really sounds like. And so that's kind of where our jumping off point in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And one of the main DJ characters is an up and coming female journalist. And her character calls out a lot of this in 1962. She is kind of pigeonholed as this like makeup and beauty tip expert because she's a woman, and she kind of rises above that. And it gives us a chance to kind of rewrite
because the men are actually really awful at their job. So she gets fortunately for in the course of the show we wrote it like that, but she gets opportunities to kind of show that she's super talented and actually the most competent person in the room.
So you're not saying we don't listen to music from 1962, but we just sort of maybe learn from it and we have discussions about it and we take it for what it is.
Absolutely. Don't listen to good songs. But it's
just an important part of our history.
Absolutely. There's no reason to ignore it.
Yeah, you can't. Because things don't get better unless you kind of understand where you came from. So speaking of where you came from, where do you want to go? Where do you see you're starting season 2, right?
Yeah, season 2 will be out in January. In January.
Okay.
We are planning ahead for season 3 and beyond, kind of coming up with some ideas where we want to take the show. We've got some, shoot for the moon ideas.
Yeah.
One of my ultimate goals is to work with TV and film when they need songs of this nature. Like when That Thing You Do comes out, I want them to come to us and say, hey, we need an early 60s song.
Adam Schlesinger is too expensive. We
Awesome. Well, I want to encourage everyone to take a listen. Just go to any of your favorite podcast sites or flashbacktonever.com. And definitely follow on social media, Instagram, all those places, and we'll put all those tags out there as well. Because I think it's a fascinating concept. I think Karen and I have wrapped our head around it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a really cool thing I want people to listen to. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us here.
Absolutely. And we'll be back with another episode. You are at home in Bloomington.
Got a show idea? I'd love to hear it. And be sure to contact me for all your real estate needs and questions too. You can email me at deb@realrealestatetoday.com and follow me on Facebook at Deb Tomorrow Realtor. To contact Karen Rastel for all your mortgage needs, call 812-606-7653 or log on to ruoff.com and go to the Bloomington Center. Thanks to all the Bloomington people who make production of At Home in Bloomington possible. Digital guru Cynthia Hogan at Monster Digital Marketing for website design and hosting, and video genius Wes Lasher in the production house for engineering the show.